By this time, you probably know the deal. Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson headed to injured reserve. That means he will miss at least the next 4 games. That's the latest coming from our NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. Jefferson injured his hamstring in Sunday's loss to the Chiefs. The Vikings are 1-4 headed into this Sunday's game against the Bears. And there is no denying that J2 times his production in Minnesota has been A1 since 2020. Most receiving yards, and by a pretty large margin, over Devontae Adams, who sits in second. Those numbers are a big reason why a lot of folks selected him first overall in their fantasy drafts this year. Our fantasy expert Heath Cummings joining us now on the show. In the guy to my left, Brandon Baylor, he picked up Justin Jefferson with the #1 overall pick. I know he's sick, he's hurt, he's throwing the towel for his season. But you look maybe at the Vikings situation without Jefferson for at least 4 weeks here. Where do you look for production now?
Well, listen, they've still got plenty of wide receivers, and they're still going to throw it 40 times a game, so there is room for production there. Jordan Addison is the guy, obviously, that we hope takes the big step forward. The first-round pick from the 2023 class saw increased involvement when Jefferson went down last week, has been kind of a part-time player. They've not played him much on 2 wide receiver sets. He should be a full-time player now and the #1 target earner in this offense. TJ Hawkinson will still be awesome, and then KJ Osborn is the guy who's actually available on the waiver wire. We'll talk about him in just a moment. I would expect that Osborn's going to slide into that 7 to 8, maybe even 9 target per game role and be a startable #3 wide receiver. Now, this is all based on the idea that Kirk Cousins is still going to be on the Minnesota Vikings. If that changes, everything changes.
We might need some pen and paper for Brandon because he's busy trying to quickly add folks.
I'm looking at Kadarius Toney right now, Curtis Samuel. I'm just out there. I know Heath is on right now. I'm just curious. Do any of those work, Heath?
Yeah, he's waiver wire. What are you looking at for other receivers?
Out of curiosity.
I am more excited about Curtis Samuel this week than I am Kadarius Toney.
There we go.
I will say, like, we've got some names on here: Josh Downs, KJ Osborn, Jaxon Smith-Njigba. I want to add all of these guys, but you're not replacing Justin Jefferson's production. So one final note on that: if you're 1-4 or 0-5 and you just lost Jefferson, it's time to make a trade. If you're 4-1 and 5-0, you can probably wait this injury out. Back to the waiver wire: Josh Downs really seeing an increased involvement with Gardner Minshew in this offense. We think Minshew is probably going to start for the next month. Downs is a #3 wide receiver this week. So is KJ Osborn. Both those guys you could slide into your lineup for Jefferson. You'll only miss like 15 points from what Jefferson was giving you. And then also JSN and I'd say Quentin Johnston as well, not on this list. Those rookies coming off of their bye weeks. If you have room to stash them, you certainly don't want to start them. They've not done anything to make you feel good about that yet. But we do often see a rookie bump coming off of the bye week. They're still very talented. It's more likely that JSN replaces some of that Justin Jefferson production. It just might take a couple weeks to happen.
News you can truly use. I used the news last week that you gave when it came to QBs. I picked up Sam Howell. That worked pretty well for me this past week. How about this week? Where are you looking for the waiver wire for QBs?
Well, we're starting with Baker Mayfield, which I didn't think we'd be saying, but he's played very well for Tampa Bay this season. We expect him to have Mike Evans back. He's got Chris Godwin. He's a high-end #2 quarterback. And then we've got a couple of revenge games here with Gardner Minshew going back to Jacksonville in a game that's actually for first place in that division. He's a quality #2 option. So is Jimmy Garoppolo facing his former team, the New England Patriots. Either one of those guys in that QB 15 to QB 18 range. You are not really benching starters for these guys, but if you've got a bye week problem, these are the guys you add.
There is a problem down in South Florida with their own injury issues, and that's with the running back De'Von Achane, likely to miss a few weeks with a knee injury. We've seen how potent and powerful that Dolphins offense was with him. Now, without him, what does this look like for Miami?
Well, Raheem Mostert might be the #1 running back in fantasy. He's #2 in my rankings this week. So get him in your starting lineup, and then let's see who shares with him, because it won't be all Mostert. Right now, I'd say De'Von Achane, the most likely guy to do that this week. But they've got Jeff Wilson, whose agent said he'll be coming off of the IR this week. And it could be Wilson and Mostert in a 50-50 split. And both of those guys might be startable if Wilson can get up to speed before Achane gets back.
The rest of the running back position around the league for waiver wire, where are you looking?
We got a couple of big-time question marks in Arizona and Chicago. Arizona lost James Conner to a knee injury. Keontae Ingram was the number 2 running back on that team coming into the year. He's missed the last 2 weeks as well. So Amari DiMercado, a rookie we did not expect to be talking about, got into the end zone last week. I expect him to be a low-end number 2 running back if both Conner and Ingram are out. They also added Tony Jones, so it won't be all DiMercado, but he is the top add. Deontay Foreman right there with him. The only reason Foreman's behind him is because they lost Khalil Herbert to an ankle injury. They also lost Roschon Johnson to a concussion, but Johnson has that extra time because they played on Thursday. So we're just not sure that Foreman's actually going to be the guy this week. If he is, he's also a top 24 running back. And then Justice Hill, once again, a problem for Gus Edwards. Not sure you want to start him against the Tennessee Titans, but he's used more inside the 20. He's used more on passing downs. Justin Hill, a fine flex if you need one.
Yeah, I have James Conner, so I was certainly paying close attention right there. Heath Cummings always getting the straight and narrow on the Tuesday with the waiver wire. Thank you so much. And you can check him out all the time on Fantasy Football Today. You should like and subscribe because the guys are giving you that inside information that you need so you can be 4-1 like me and not, what, 2-2? What are you, Brandon? 2-3?
2-3.
2-3 like Brandon.
Leave me alone. You got lucky with Christian McCaffrey. Relax.